A very good evening to our viewers. Welcome to Elite TV and you're watching Elite TV's Open Debate in English. I'm Amrita, your host for this crucial debate on the topic Roadmap for Peace in Manipur. The ethnic violence that broke out on 3rd May, which led to a breakdown of law and order in the state, resulting in many displaced persons, curfews, internet ban, and heavy military presence, still continue to affect the lives of people living in Manipur. Although the internet connections are restored, there are apprehensions whether peace and normalcy can be brought back soon. On 9th of August, Union Home Minister Amrita Chongtham spoke about the events that triggered the violence in the monsoon session of the parliament and mentioned that now the violence in Manipur is subsiding. The very next day, Prime Minister Narendra Modi in his closing remarks stated that there will be soon peace in Manipur. Our panel of experts are here to discuss on this topic. Let's extend a warm welcome to our panelists. Our first panelist for today is Mr. Chongtham Bijoy, socio-political commentator. Welcome to Elite TV's Open Debate, Mr. Bijoy.
Thank you. Namaskar.
Our next panelist is Mr. Ngangom Junior Luwang, Advocate, Supreme Court of India. Welcome to Elite TV's Open Debate, Mr. Junior Luwang.
Thank you, Amrita. Thank you.
Okay, let's begin the discussion right away. My first question is to Mr. Bijoy. My question is peace possible at this current juncture? And if so, then what are the terms that can be made for the peace to occur? Mr. Bijoy.
The Honorable Home Minister statement in the Parliament on the 9th is very encouraging. And the Prime Minister's statement on the last day of the Parliament is very brief, but has lots of meaning underneath. He has openly said that he is in full support of whatever Sri Amrita had said. But at this juncture, brokering a peace third party.
Okay.
I, as a Meitei, cannot speak about brokering a peace, or it should be done by the central government or by the state government. The other side, the cookies may say that the state government is biased, but the cookie also seems to be very disappointed by the statement of the Honorable Home Minister Amrita, that he said the cookies are illegal infiltrator from Myanmar. That statement, I think they have taken it very exceptionally. But brokering peace should be in a process. Like the one who is to broker peace has to talk with the two parties many times repeatedly. And only when there is a point that he will bring out a plan for peace, and his plan has to be accepted by both the parties. When it is both the parties accepted, then we can call it a roadmap to peace. But it is a painstaking work, and it also depends on the expertise of those who is trying to broker peace, and more important is the situation on the ground. Right now, the situation in the ground, the Meiteis especially, they are not willing for the cessation of hostilities, and they don't want to hear the word peace as of today. This I have collected from their moods in the newspaper, daily newspaper. You see, the Meiteis have been gravely wrong by the cookies on the 3rd of May because they have attacked and unleashed a fury of violence against the Meitei community without any warning. Without any warning. At the international level, it is equivalent to attacking another nation without declaration of war. That is a very serious war crime. We have seen that in the Second World War, Japan attacked America's Pearl Harbor on the 7th December 1941 without declaring war. That is why after the war, after Japan had surrendered unconditionally, many important leaders, including the Prime Minister Tojo, was hanged by the Americans for war crimes. It also applies in a smaller level in the context of Manipur too. Starting violence and all kinds of miseries that the cookies has imposed on the Meiteis is unpardonable and unforgettable.
Yes.
So, the right now the mood among the Meitei community is that the cookies should be punished accordingly.
Okay.
The cookies want war, so we will give them war for a war to fight for a long time. That is my opinion. And moreover, if we are ready for a interim peace plan, we will impose certain conditions on the cookies.
Okay.
First, they must surrender their idea of a cookie land or the Ngangom inside the territory of Manipur. That is the first condition that they have to consider. Secondly, they must not try to prove by many false narrative that they are the indigenous people of Manipur. They are not. All the record shows that they came to Manipur only as far back as 1830. That is recent, comparatively very new. And they must stop publishing all these fact narratives on the history of Manipur, and that they are trying to rob the identity of the Meiteis in respect with Manipur.
Okay.
The Meiteis' contribution to the idea of Manipur, to the identity of Manipur, is immense, and nobody can challenge it. The cookies are desperately trying to rob the identities of the Meitei as connected to Manipur.
Yeah, that's right.
And the cookie must stop expanding outward to other communities' land. They also must support wholeheartedly the process of NRC and the border tension. And ultimately, I want to say, the cookie must also not object to the demarcation of Kangpopi district. I have been demanding lately that Kangpopi district must be demarcated without after removing the Sadar Hills. Sadar Hills is a
Mr. Bijoy, may I interrupt you for a while? Those were some very good points and very thought-provoking points, but do you think the cookies will agree to the demarcation of Kangpopi districts by removing the Sadar Hills? What do you think? That they will agree or not?
At this very moment, they will not agree. They will vehemently oppose that. I know. But that is my proposal to break their demand of a homeland. The idea that Sadar Hill is encircling the Imphal Valley gives them lots of bad ideas.
Yeah,
as if we are in a pot of say fish, therefore to be eaten in future. That idea should be removed in their mind.
Okay.
At this moment, the cookies have lots of fight left in them. But in the due process of this conflict, that fight will wear out. That means after this ethnic clash is what is the way how to solve the outstanding issues between the cookies and the Meitei.
Okay.
And Meitei was caught unaware. The Meiteis were not ready for war. But on the 7th July, the Kuki NP president has declared that Meiteis are their enemy.
Yes.
So, okay, if they have declared us their enemy, we also must treat them as enemies. So the fight must go on as far as I am concerned, or also will go on. The anger among the Meitei community is so immense that it is not going to end very soon. That is what I see. I am not instigating violence, but that is what I see. And our sacred two mountains, Hangjing and the Kobru. All the Meiteis, irrespective of religion, caste or creed, they worship this Kobru peak. And we also consider that we all originated from this mountain.
Okay.
But the Kuki has dominated, or they have inhabited the Kobru mountain.
Okay.
It is yet to be liberated. Most dangerous period will be 2022 March, April, when all the mighty youth, they will be going on a pilgrimage to the Kobru peak. And that is going to be a very dangerous period. So what I'm going to say is that the Kuki has lots of fight in them. After some process on the ground, when they are completely defeated, or their spirit to fight is broken, and when they beg for peace, they will agree to such condition that I think we should impose on them.
Okay.
Since they started war, they are the one who should pay for all the damages and for all the miseries they have caused. And of course, the central government will jump in to compensate, but the burden also should be shared to the perpetrator of this present violence. That is for my first round.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Bijoy, for your insightful views. Now I'd like to move on to Mr. Ngangom, Junior Luwang. So Mr. Bijoy has placed that the terms for peace need to include the surrender of the idea of Zalingam, and also for the cookies to support the NRC, and also to give up arms
Border
and all of
fencing.
that, and the border fencing. Yes. So I would like you to also add on the statements made by Mr. C.H. Bijoy, and also my question to you is recently the Home Minister Amit Shah had said that there are many Kuki infiltrators in Manipur, and that they are the ones causing this present crisis and the violence. So my question is, will it be possible for the government to remove them all without any force? Mr. Luwang?
Yeah, Amrita,
Yes.
am I visible?
Yes, you are visible, sir.
Yeah, so see, the point is that for a immediate peace to be brought in, we have to approach the whole issue from possibly three perspectives.
Okay.
One is that we have to dispel whatever misconceptions both communities have for one another. That's one.
Okay.
Second is that we have to also follow or rather have very strong confidence building measures amongst border communities.
Okay.
And third, I think, will be the disarming process, both for the cookies as well as for the Métis. Now, coming to the first one, which is basically the misconception which is going on, I mean, believed by the border parties, arguably wrongly. The first misconception I think we have to clear, and we have to make the cookies know or realize, is that see, what they are demanding now, they are demanding separate administration, and we have to tell them that separate administration is something which they still have. Both Nagas and the Cookies have separate administration under the Autonomous District Council Act 1960, and now I think it's 2000, the amended or the new version.
Yes.
There's one which we have to really go to them. They are they seem to be a little unhappy with the way the district councils, the so-called ADCs, are working in hill areas. That I would not blame any of the community, but the Nagas and the Cookies themselves. Because if you see the structure of the ADC, these are all fully elected bodies with some nominated persons by the governor. They have executive powers, they have financial powers, and they also have legislative powers to rule their own areas of settlement or domination. And they have also separate funds. Now, what is hampering the working of these ADCs is because of the mismanagement by the communities themselves and the frequent clash between the elected members of the ADC and local MLAs. So this is something we have to tell our Cookie brothers, that if you want separate administration, you should realize that there is something which we've been having for decades.
Yes.
And the failure of maybe the ineffective functioning of the ADC has nothing to do with any of the community but yourself.
Yes.
That's one.
Yes.
So possibly the ADCs can be worked around and they can be made more effective.
Okay.
That's one of the misconceptions which they have.
Okay.
And secondly, I think the Métis also, I mean, I would try to be neutral to the extent possible. The Métis also should have some kind of a, obviously I think I don't see any Meitei blaming all the communities for the present violence, or at least branding all the Kukis as illegal immigrants. So the Meitei narrative seems to be that, of course, there are Kukis who have been settled in Manipur for a long time, since 1840s, 1830s,
Yes.
and by any law of immigration or migration, possibly they would qualify as the citizens of India, given the number of years they have been in India and Manipur. So there is something we have to clarify. And second is that, as far as Bijoy's point is concerned,
Yes.
obviously there are new Kokis who have infiltrated from Burma or elsewhere to Manipur, and they are possibly causing some law and order issues, and those have to be detected. That is something I think that has been raised both in the Parliament and also in the Supreme Court, before which I am appearing for some other client before the Supreme Court, same matter.
Yes.
So this also has to be made very clear to them that not all Kokis are illegal immigrants, not all Kokis are poppy planters.
Okay.
It's basically what maybe this NRC or maybe it's a drive against poppy planters, traders.
Yes.
Maybe it's a drive against forest encroachers. These are all community neutral steps which are being taken up by the government. And this is not Koki targeted.
Okay.
So there is a narrative which has to go from the right mouth to the Kokis in the right perspective. So
Okay.
all these have to be made known to them that NRC is not Koki targeted, forest eviction is not Koki targeted, poppy plant war against drug is not Koki targeted. All these measures are all community neutral, and from their part they have to realize that separate administration is something which they already have.
Yes.
And it is a one failure that this are not able to function.
Okay.
That's second. Now third, they also have to be made known that the government of India, not less than from the mouth of the Home Minister, the Honorable Home Minister,
Yeah.
separate Kukiland in the form of a separate state or a separate union territory within the territory of India, possibly carved out of the territory of Manipur, has been completely ruled out by the government of India.
Yes,
There
right.
is something which they cannot achieve and which they will not see possibly in the years to come. And we also have made it very clear, including Corcom. And I see one of the interviews given by one of the Corcom spokesperson
Okay.
to the Wire. He even went to the extent of saying
Yes.
that even if heavens fall, there will be no separate administration for the cookies. So
Okay.
there is something which they have to get reconciled to. So
Okay.
this is the first part of dispelling the misconceptions
Okay.
which possibly the border communities have. Now second is the kind of say confidence building measures which we have to develop.
Yes.
Now first thing is that the peace committee which was formed, I don't think it's not going to function,
Yeah.
because the peace committee can function only when the members are acceptable to one another.
Yes. Yes.
If one member says that I can't attend the meeting because somebody is there,
Yes,
then
exactly.
the peace committee itself will be a failure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So possibly it's a time for the government of India or the government of Manipur to reconstitute the peace committee in
Yes.
such a way that all the members are ready to sit together and then
Yes.
thrust out whatever issues we have on the table.
Okay.
There is a second part of it.
Okay.
And second part of the confidence building measure.
Okay.
Now the third part is that apart from the peace committee, which is at the government level, all civil society organizations of these two communities,
Yes.
or maybe this Corcom, maybe this Fox, or maybe this Tarag Kelchu, or maybe this ITLF or Kuki Infi, we have to really work at the community level, at the grassroots level,
Yes.
to thrust out the differences which we have right now, and to make the other person understand my perspective, our perspective, and for me and for us to understand their perspective, and arrive at a amicable solution. The fact of the matter is that maybe it's possible to change a lot of things, but it's impossible to change your neighbor. So the Kukis, Nagas and the Meiteis have lived together in Manipur for all this while,
Yes.
and I don't see any reason for the Kukis to want a separate administration
Exactly.
in the form of a separate state or a union territory.
Yes.
But under any circumstance whatsoever,
Yes.
if it does happen, then there will be a serious law and order problem, much worse than what is happening right now.
Okay.
Now, talking about Ngangom, yes, that is something which has been prop up by a community for some time. Maybe they want to integrate territories in Bangladesh, Burma, Manipur, Mizoram have a separate Kuki Len or a Kuki Jo, Mar, Mizo, I think that's very utopian. I still remember a similar utopian idea which was quoted many decades ago. I think it's called Bratil. Tamo Bijoy must be knowing. I think it was quoted by one politician called O Tomba. It's like the concept of Ngangom is as utopian as Brazil, which was quoted many years before or many decades before. That's the second part of it. Now the third is very important, which is the disarming process. Now, how do you disarm both the communities? Because let's realize that both communities have, or members of both the communities have weapons. One has weapons procured from a lot of say obscure sources. One we know maybe from Myanmar, or maybe the Sioux militants who are under the suspension of operation agreement with the government of India and government of Manipur. That has to be cracked down. In fact, I have been making a plea in the Supreme Court for a number of days on multiple hearings that one important measure which we can take right now is a part of the disarming process should be the disarming, or rather a head count of the Sioux militants and the weapons which are deposited with the government of India, the government of Manipur under Sioux arrangement. But somehow the government of India is not that cooperative. They are not willing to come out with the relevant facts and figures as to the number of Sioux militants and the Sioux, as to the number of weapons surrendered or kept on the Sioux pre and post May 3rd, 2023. I don't know why, but I don't see any reason why they should hide these figures, because after all, these Sioux militants and the weapons which they have deposited are under double lock system, and the Sioux militants, more specifically, are under the payroll of the government of India. So, if these three measures are taken up simultaneously in a more effective manner, I see peace coming to Manipur soon. But as from today, let us realize, both communities should realize, first, separate Kuki Len in the form of a separate state or a separate green territory stands ruled out, and it's not a possibility under any circumstance, constitutionally, legally, practically, socially, communally. Let's realize it's not there. Second, we also have to realize that not all Kukis are illegal immigrants, not all Kukis are, say, poppy planters. Let's stop stereotyping a specific community. But yes, we have serious concerns. These concerns have been raised by the Home Minister and the Prime Minister, even in the Supreme Court. We have been saying so. The illegal immigrants are creating problems in the country, and are part of the or one of the reasons for this violence. And we should, yes, someone has said so, that we should effectively pursue the NRC regime, so that illegal immigrants are thrown out, irrespective of who he is, maybe a Naga, maybe a Kuki, or maybe a Meitei. Now it should be seen or should be seen as it should be as a community neutral reason, and so is a drive against forest forest deforestation. Now one thing which should be clear is that somehow the Kuki community has perceived the government measures against forest deforestation is some kind of a Kuki targeted measure, which is factually wrong, because it didn't start the way they are trying to project. It started, I think, somewhere in Howal or Kakin district. The first anti-forest enforcement drive was conducted, not in Chusanpur, not in Kangpokpi, but somewhere in the valley areas. I think it's near Kakin. A number of Meitei families, number of Meitei Bengal families had to be evicted because their houses were found to be on the reserve forest or protected forest areas. So this is these are the misconceptions which should be dispelled.
Okay.
And rather says peaceful or rather say clear communication between two communities will surely pave the way for a peaceful coexistence between the two parties.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Luwang, for your very for detailed views about the peace building measures and also the process of the peace to begin in the state. So I would like to now go on to Mr. C.H. Bijoy again. So Mr. Luwang has stated about the dispelling of myths and the misconceptions between the two communities, and also about the peace body that needs to be established again since the first one has failed. And also what I would like to know from you is about the disarming process between of the two communities. And also my question to you is that since recently, recently one Kuki MLA said that the government of Manipur violates the tribal rights in Manipur. And I would like to know from you, like, what are the tribal rights that are being violated according to the cookies, and I would like to know from you, sir.
Before answering to that question,
okay.
After listening to learned advocate Shri Junior Luwang, one thing comes in my mind that the state government must give priority to this grassroots democracy.
Okay.
They have been dragging their foot in the ADC election, municipality election, Jilla Parishad election. It is doing a great disservice to the peace and the tranquility of the state. Once the grassroots democracy is vibrant, many of these issues might not have happened also. We have heard so much from the hill tribe that to hold a ADC election. To this, the government has always turned a deaf ear from one excuse to another. So this must be addressed at the earliest. Regarding the MLA of Saikot saying that the government is violating the tribal law or whatever he refers to, this thing must be clearly defined. What are the rights of the tribal? Rights of the tribal are given by the Constitution of India and by the law of the land.
Yes.
And they must abide by that. Right of the tribal does not mean that they are free to do anything.
Exactly.
In the Northeast India, until recently, some tribes were practicing headhunting. Should we call that a right of the tribal, or should we allow them to continue it till this 21st century? No, never. Not any government will allow to that kind of tribal right. Now, the Saikot MLA had said that, or I have told him again also through the press and the different media, planting of drug, poppy, drug business, and the destruction of reserve forest, destruction of wildlife, and bringing in illegal infiltrator, troublemaker from across the border, although it is their kinsmen or maybe related to them, is not part of tribal rights. Tribal rights should be confined within the Constitution, and it is bound by law of the land. Secondly, the tribals, especially the Kukis, they believe that whatever vacant land in the hill is their tribal land. That is a very wrong misconception. It is a big misconception, I would say. And the state government also has failed to define and demarcate what are the tribal land and what are the state land. This problem is creating lots of problem in the development of the hill. Since the tribal land is not demarcated well, any project like the railway, highways, or any other that is coming up, the cookies come out and say, this is their land. We want compensation. We want our people employed here. and we must get the prime passion. This is a big misconception. Tribal land should be clearly defined, demarcated, and what are the state land? This is a state land should be made known clearly in loud and clear voice to the Kuki. For example, the present place where the Force University is coming up was donated by two villages, Koktruk and Sinjamguno. It is around a little bit more than 324 acres, something like that. It was donated by these two mighty villages. Then when that land also is included in the survey area of Imphal West District. That means clearly these two villages, they donated their own land for the sports university at free of cost. Then there is some Kuki villages residing in the hills in that area, like Lailon Bhaipai, Harau Khel, El Tanom, etc. And because of their compensation taking mentality, they started claiming that the area where the sports university is coming up is their land, and they started creating problems. Before this present trouble started, even say some years ago, they came down with guns and tried to drive away the workers, the engineer from the area, saying that they had to take compensation from the government and certain conditions like employment and other things from the authority. This has earlier caused lots of tension in that area, and at present also such kind of incident of the Kukis in claiming any vacant piece of land in the hill, their land is a big, irritant. The government should rectify this, and instead of making us fight over and over against such incidents. There is one thing I would like to say. And another thing is that the governor, honorable governor, has set up a peace committee, and it fell away the very next day. Learned advocate Junior Luwang has correctly said certain points on that. I won't repeat, but one thing I would like to remind is that before a peace committee is formed, a ceasefire committee should be formed first, beforehand. Only after a ceasefire committee is formed, and when ceasefire is effectively enforced, after that peace committee will come up, and it may be more successful. Like in the case of NSN, IM and the government India, before the peace talk is still going on, but before that ceasefire committee is there to monitor the ceasefire and the cessation of hostility with certain ground rule. And if the government wants to set up a peace committee, it should be in the same process. First, we need a ceasefire committee with an effective monitoring agency. This must put it down. Oh, I'd like to add one point.
Yeah, sure, please go on.
You see, everybody knows that Kukis are the refugees in the state, or illegal immigrant. And any kind of refugee or illegal immigrant demanding a separate homeland within the home state, within the host state, is an act of aggression. I'd like to put a straight question to the Kukis. Why can't they consider, okay, they have come here and lived for some years, and they speak the language and they have picked up everything. Why can't they think the whole of Manipur as our common homeland? Why should they demand a separate administration, separate homeland? It is not just acceptable, that is taken as an act of aggression and an attempt to rob the identity of the Meitei who has ruled this state for so many years. They cannot be imposter in that way.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Bijoy, for your views. And as Like Mr. Luwang has also mentioned, it's also about the restructuring of the ADC and also the demarcation and the clear definition of tribal land and versus the state land. And coming back to you, Mr. Junior Luwang, I would like to ask you is that the Métis and the Nagas and many other communities, they have been demanding the implementation of NRC, and also they have been demanding the border fencing and also the withdrawal of the Sioux agreement, and they're saying that this is the most immediate need of the hour. So do you think that implementing them right away will be a step closer to peace process, Mr. Luwang?
Well, I don't see any reason for the Kuki community to oppose any kind of NRC program.
Yes.
I don't see it because, after all, just as it has happened in Assam, the program is not meant to detect illegal immigrants from any specific community.
Okay.
As I said it before,
Okay.
NRC is a community-neutral mechanism to detect illegal immigrants and deport them. The most important part of NRC, or arguably the most controversial in the present context, is a base year.
Yes.
Leaving 1951 is a base. Leaving 1961 is a base, or 21 is a base year. People have different perspectives on the base year, but the fact of the matter is that the NRC, as was implemented in Assam, had adopted 1971 as the base year. The reason being that 1971 was the specific year which was mentioned in the Assam Accord, which was mentioned in the erstwhile the Illegal Migrant Determination by Tribunal Act 1984, and which also was mentioned in the accord signed between the government of India and the government of Bangladesh at the end of the Bangladesh war in 1971. So there was a reason why this year 1971 was taken as a base year for Assam. I really don't know the wisdom of having this same year for Manipur. Maybe we can have a discussion on this. Maybe that 1951 is a good base year, 1961 is a good base year, but 1971 is something that has been accepted by the Supreme Court because the NRC, as introduced in Assam, was under the supervision of the Supreme Court of India. So no matter what we want, we also have to find a balance and then come with a base year which is acceptable not only to our community but also to the legal fraternity. Most importantly, the Supreme Court of India, because let us also remember that we might want to do whatever we want to do, but take it this way, that whatever NRC is going to be introduced, the same could be a matter of judicial challenge, but before maybe before the High Court of Manipur or maybe even before the Supreme Court of India. So the best practical way would be to have a base year which is both practical and good for all the communities and also judicially acceptable to the Supreme Court as well as to the High Courts. That is one part of it. NRC, if at all implemented and should be implemented, should be seen or should be rather projected, or rather should not be allowed to be misconceived as any kind of a community targeted mechanism. One. Second is the border fencing. I think a large part of the border between Myanmar and the Manipur is yet to be fenced, and I heard a statement made by the Solicitor General of India before the Supreme Court that the border fencing work is something which is within active consideration of the government of India. The steps are likely to be taken in this regard along the border, and this is something which will really help in detecting the illegal immigrants, mostly coming from Myanmar, because let's remember the context also, because of the military junta. Now the so-called pro-democracy activists in Myanmar have been basically under a lot of pressure quite recently, and a number of them are suspected to have crossed to Manipur and as well as to Mizoram. Mizoram, of course, officially they acknowledge it, but we also suspect that a number of them are in Manipur, in Kuki-dominated areas, This is at least what the Solicitor General seemed to indicate in the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court, in fact, before the Supreme Court, there was a measure or rather disturbing revelation by the Solicitor General of India. I think that was on 7th August, some days back. I was there. He said that the number of bodies which are lying in the mosques in Imphal are seemingly members of communities who are not legal citizens of India or other people who are indigenous people of Manipur. So that possibly is an indicator to possible involvement of, say, illegal immigrants across the border in the present crisis. I don't know to what extent that's correct, but that is a statement given by a very important functionary of the government of India before the Supreme Court.
Yes.
That's second. And I think I need to elaborate on the tribal rights which Bijoy has just spoken about.
Please.
See, one of the misconceptions, a major misconception or a misnomer which our tribal people have in Manipur is that, now I have been saying so, and let me also say it again, the tribal communities in Manipur are the most protected, the most well taken care of tribals in the world. And let me, I'm not saying this on any basis, let me explain why I am saying so. Unlike the various tribes in various parts of the world, what do our tribals have in Manipur? The first thing is that they have, of course, whatever comes along with the ST check, which is job reservations, and obviously there's something available to all the tribal communities of India. Income tax exemption, I'm not exempted from income tax through Bijoy. So we keep on paying some bit of income tax or whatever income that accrues to us, and they are exempted from income tax. Second, third is that the tribals in Manipur have a special provision in the Indian Constitution, which is basically Article 371C, which is not there for other tribes in India. 371C has created a hill committee, hill area committee within the state assembly, and for your information, as on today, it consists of 20 members of the members of the state assembly, 10 from the Naga community and 10 from the Kuki community. Whichever bill is introduced in the state assembly, it is to go to the Hill Areas Committee for their opinion, for their consideration, and for their recommendation. So the fact of the matter is that if a bill relates to a Meitei or a non-tribal, it straight goes to assembly and it may be passed, it may be defeated. But if it relates to a tribal area or hill area, the state assembly at one go cannot take it immediately. It is to go through the process of getting it examined by the Hill Areas Committee, which consists of only tribal community MLAs in the assembly. So there is a third protection which we have, especially for the tribals in Manipur. Now, the fourth protection which they have is the autonomous council. Now let us not believe, or let us not be carried away by the narrative which is coming from the Kuki community that we demand a separate administration. We should tell them, or rather the Kukis should realize that they have a separate administration for a very, very long time, since 1961 I suppose. So 71. There's the Act of 1971 and the revamp in 2000. As I said before, the AGCs are supposed to have, or they rather have, executive powers, legislative powers, and also financial powers, derived from the 5th schedule of the Indian Constitution. They themselves are responsible for the failure of these agencies or rather ineffective functioning of the agencies. Best way for them to go forward is to make their own agencies effective. They themselves have not made it effective. They have such powers that they can even impose taxes and then increase their fund collection and then financially make it viable. This is something which they have failed. I'm sorry to say so, both our Naga communities and community also the Kuki community
Yeah.
has completely failed to make use of the otherwise legally provided the autonomous district council in hill area.
Okay.
Obviously, there is another grade of ABC which is in a settled, but there is not something which they are demanding right now. They are
Okay.
straight demanding a separate state administration, a separate state or a separate union territory under the euphemism, under a bad euphemism, I would say, of separate administration. If they want to have a separate state or a separate union territory, they could have been little more straight. They could have said that we want a separate state union territory. I don't see any point in them demanding a separate administration, which they already have.
Okay. Okay.
Which go to them.
Okay,
So,
may I interrupt you there, Mr. Luwang? I would also, those were some very great points, and basically there is already in place very effective mechanisms such as the HAC, the Hill Area Committee, the Additional District Council, already in place a lot of hill protection and the protection for the tribal people, and still the demand for the separate administration is completely baseless. So now I'm coming to Mr. C.H. Bijoy again. My question to you is, many credible persons of the country have hinted the involvement of foreign hand in this Kuki Meitei clash. So what are your thoughts on that? And will this involvement also derail the peace process if there is any?
In one panel discussion in the national TV, probably Republic TV and other many renowned panelists and the anchor, Shri Arnab Goswami, has openly said that in the present crisis in Manipur,
Yes.
China is deeply involved. They have said that. And moreover, Shiva Sena MP Sanjay Raut has alleged to the government that Chinese hands are involved on the 3rd of June 2023.
Yes.
And moreover, in the present crisis, some MP, Congress MP also had said in the debate, in the no confidence motion, that all the weapons, sophisticated weapons that are coming into the state is taken from some black market area, and mostly they are Chinese made or Chinese replica or other Western weapons. All this indicate that the involvement of the foreign hand, mainly China.
Yes.
On the other hand, we have the Christian association from the Western country who are fueling the crisis and who are projecting a wrong narrative that it is a Christian minority being oppressed by a Hindu majority minority. That is totally wrong.
Yes.
I don't need to go into that. The Nagas are also Christian. They are very good relation with us. Among the Meitei Christian also, the Kuki attacked the Meitei Christian in Sarkampur. They burned the houses of the pastor. So it is never a Christian Hindu clash. Now, but why the Western country, European nation are projected in that way? So their hand also is involved there, I should say.
Okay.
And in the discussion in one TV panel, one panelist said that the Southeast Asia countries are very important market for the Chinese product. And the Indian construction and the interest in the trilateral highway from Imphal, Moreh to right up to Bangkok and further on to Vienna. This threatens the Chinese monopoly in this market.
Okay.
Because most of the people in that area, they prefer Indian goods, which are more durable, reliable, and not replica of any other product. So the Chinese feel threatened. So they want to disrupt the get away to that area, which is Moreh and Imphal. They want to disrupt this. They want to pose this their view. But from my viewpoint, Manipur is a very strategic place, and it is a getaway to Southeast Asia. At the same time, It is a gateway into India from any invader from the east. It is very strategic.
Okay.
We have seen that during the Second World War that Imphal was one of the biggest battlefields during the Second World War, and we, the Meiteis, have endured it. We have come out intact. Of course, we suffered a lot, but that shows the strength of our society. And you see, the global security situation is not very good. The fight between Russia and Ukraine might spread to other areas, and India and China has been fighting border clashes for so many years. They invaded India in 1962.
Yes.
Still, the tension in the border is there. Recently, I came across a news clip that just very recently, India has airlifted about 70,000 troops to the Galwan region. That means tension is still there. So, if there is a full-scale war or in preparation of full-scale war,
Yes.
China is aiming to open a front aimed at Imphal. That is why the American ambassador is interested in getting involved. His statement indicates that. And if the Chinese government or Chinese army decides to invade India, they will definitely aim the Imphal Valley after creating some unrest among the population so that they find it easy. That is my opinion. And Prime Minister also has said, I think, the involvement of certain foreign hands, and this is true. Otherwise, how can these people, the cookies, who have caused the whole thing, how can they last so long without some fund from outside, without supply of weapons from outside? They can't manufacture their own thing. Whereas in the case of the Meiteis, we have seen that most of the weapons they are holding has been snatched from the police station, from security forces.
Yes.
And regarding the finances coming from the outside, there was one report sometime in June 22nd, I think, about the Financial Intelligence Unit saying that huge sum of money has been pumped in to Manipur to various accounts, and most of this account, after investigation, it was found that they are mostly to the Christian charitable institution. That means the money is not definitely coming to the Meitei people. They are going to the hills.
Right.
And secondly, one disturbing part is that in that report, it is mentioned that checks account, gaming account, and betting account, they say,
Yes.
huge amount of money from China is coming into their account since January of this year. So the investigation report says that this money that is pumping in is a type of money laundering. This may be fueling the present crisis in Manipur, and I believe that government is doing further investigation in this stress.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bijoy, for your views about this, since a lot of hands are aiming to compromise state integrity, and considering the complexity of this present crisis and all the damage that's been done already. My question is open to both Mr. Bijoy and Mr. Luwang. My question is that as a closing question for this debate today, is there a means for the people to trust once again after all the damage that's been done? The question is open for both.
I don't see any reason for either the cookies or the Meiteis not to trust one another. We have lived long for all this while. And why can't we live for further? If you remember that the Meiteis and the Meitei Pangals had a long fight. Not long fight, but it was a serious fight. People died. But still, you know, we are back to normal. We are brothers now, peacefully. And so were the cookies and the Paitis. So this is a part of some kind of a community reconciliation, which could have different phases. Maybe this is a phase where both parties had gone wrong, or at least one party had gone wrong, and we realize what is the narrative of the other side, and maybe that this is an opportunity for both communities to understand one another better,
Yes.
and to also realize the limits beyond which they cannot go. That's the second part of it. And then let me also touch upon what Tamu just briefly spoke about. Obviously, these are all speculations. I mean, I will not say that there is a complete proof, but these are theories and speculations flying around. I was also a little surprised when American ambassador made the statement he made that if India government wants, then the government of America can offer assistance to the present conflict. Maybe that he is saying so because he sees a particular community with a specific, say, religion being a part of it. But most likely, as Tamo Bijoy has indicated, that America has stakes in Southeast Asia, South China Sea, starting from South China Sea, and they don't want the Impal corridor or the international highway to go all the way from India to Bangkok, then to Vietnam, maybe to Singapore, all that, because that will help India to have some kind of a trade dominance in these areas, and more so by the Chinese. I mean, I must say that the Americans may not like it. I would say that the Chinese might, as Tamo Bijoy has said, might see as some kind of a intervention or a disturbance in their long-term plan of a whole, say, complete dominance of trade in Asia. So that's one part which we can think about, and which could be reason for one of the reasons for the present turmoil in Manipur. As I said before, that there has to be some kind of a complete communication on right narratives between the two communities, and there has to be a strong peace committee, acceptable to both parties, not in the present form, but in a form which is acceptable to both the communities. I mean, members not say that I'm not there because some of the person is there. People have to be consulted, and they have to be asked who are acceptable, who are not acceptable, and it's the most urgent need of the hour. We should have one, and it's in fact it's late, but better late than never.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Luwang. I'd like to quickly come to Mr. C.H. Bijoy for your closing remarks. My question was: is there a possibility for the people to trust once again, and what are your thoughts?
Oh, there is no harm among the Kukis trusting the Maltese. But many historians and many experts, many academicians on the Kuki history has described that the Kukis are the most untrustworthy people. They are the most deceitful. They are the most treacherous, and they betray their allies many times. And since they have declared us enemy, I would like to go along that I and the other mighty people, we find it very difficult to trust the Kuki people once again. And from the world experience also, in science, in such ethnic classes or such dimension of violence, it takes lots of time to heal. In Africa and other places, it takes about 20 to 30 years to heal. Until then, even after that, after the peace is restored, the Kukis, as the experts has predicted, these experts wrote the history about Kukis some many years ago. They have predicted in their books. For example, Colonel Sir James Johnson, in his book, he said that Kukis are number one opportunists. He's very worried about the entry into Manipur, and he has clearly predicted in his book that he is worried about the future of Manipur, but that is for the future, he concluded. These are, what to say, people with the experience of the Kukis and other tribes all over the world.
Okay,
So I
Mr.
would like to
Bijoy,
go by that.
Our time
and
is
they are,
almost up.
as
Yeah.
far as I am concerned, or they are not to be trusted for a very long time.
Okay, our time is
One
almost
quick,
up.
one quick, Amrita,
Sure.
one quick point.
Yeah, sure. Please
If
go
the
on. Please
Protestants
go on,
and
Mr.
the
Luwang.
Catholics, 1 minute. If the Protestants and the Catholics can live together peacefully in Ireland, why not in Manipur? Obviously,
Exactly.
we need a lot of adjustments and healing, but I think time is a great healer.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Since time is already come to an end, we would have liked to discuss a little bit more, but since that time is due to time constraint, we'll have to wrap up today's episode right here. And those were really good points that we discussed today in this session. We had a really engaging and interactive session. So in conclusion, basically the roadmap for peace needs to have a very neutral community, neutral peace building body, and also to restructure the already existing ADCs and the Hill Area Committee, and also most importantly to look into the border fencing and the NRC implementation to have a peace process and for both the communities to come to peace. So we have come to the end of this episode. I'd like to thank our panelists once again, Mr. C.H. Bijoy, socio-political commentator. Thank you for coming to our program. And thank you
Thank you.
Thank you to Mr. Ngangom Jr. Luwang. Thank you for being here on our
Thank
program
you,
today.
Amrita. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd also like to thank our viewers for tuning in tonight. Please share your feedback and comments with us. We'll be back again next Monday, same time, with more exciting topics. Please keep watching ELITETV. This is Amrita signing off. Have a good week.